Okay, all that said, because Sims
Mm-hmm.
put me on the spot about this yesterday due to the reality that sometimes the offense just sputters, goes into a funk, snaps out of it when it needs to. But what would be the thing that if you're a Vikings fan laying in bed, trying to fall asleep, staring at the ceiling, worrying about this is the thing that becomes the Achilles heel at some point in the postseason, what would it be?
For the team or for the offense?
Let's start with the offense. But if you want to take
Yeah,
it more broadly, take it as broadly as you'd like. Take it all the way to Gary Anderson missing a
right.
39-yard field goal potentially for his only miss of the year. Whatever it is that could be the
Yeah.
dagger in the heart of this year's team.
Well, I mean, since they came home and played those three in a row at home, and then the most recent 27-point performance at Seattle, and you're right about Julian Love, fellow corner Kobe Bryant. Those are safety. Those are converted corners who really know how to cover the pass from a safety standpoint. And O'Connell's offense is running up 30 pretty much every game. So I guess the metaphorical fly in the ointment would be back to the days of them putting Jefferson in the vice, and then there's frustration and a bunch of 3-and-outs. I guess that would be it. If Sam starts throwing curious interceptions, that's just going to come out of nowhere. So that one would really surprise me. From a team standpoint, their corners, Shaq Griffin and Stephon Gilmore, a couple of veterans, and Steph's deep in the second half of his career. From a pass rush standpoint, with these teams you're going to start playing, specifically the Packers with four underrated receivers. Jaden Reed's fantastic. Then you got the Lions. That's a meat grinder. Then you get to the postseason. Who knows? You might get Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. They already beat the Vikings and so on. If the pass rush does not consistently pressure, not necessarily crush the quarterback, but pressure, the middle of the field's been a little bit of a problem from like 15 to 30 yards. I don't exactly know what goes into that, but they got some veterans back there on whom they count. And, to take it from this 58-year-old, old guys don't like to run around for 5 seconds, really, in any circumstances. So those would be a couple that come to mind initially.
The running game from time to time gives me concern, whether there's lack of a commitment to it, lack of effectiveness. I think they need to use Cam Akers a little bit more than they have. But you get into one of these playoff games, if you do find yourself stymied in the ability to get the ball to Justin Jefferson, you need to pound it. You need to draw somebody down toward the line of scrimmage to try to stop that bleeding, to open things up. I just don't know that they have the capacity to access it when they need to, or the desire to commit to it when they want to.
Yeah, I mean, but with all due respect, I think that's a little unfair. And here's why. If you look at the break between the rush attempts and the pass attempts this year, it's been 50-50 pretty much the entire season. And O'Connell and this offense have shown when they need to run, they run. Now, what you say, I do believe is fair, from a fan standpoint, because I hear it every single week that certain situations they need to run more. But on key third and fourth downs late in games, for the most part, he's finding what he wants with the passing game. This is a pass-first team. In Kevin's first year, they threw 61% of the time. That's come back, and now it's right around 50-50. Jones has a bunch of attempts, and they're keeping him healthy too. And finally, the interior of the offensive line is not necessarily constructed to mash straight ahead and like move man consistently. It's more constructed from a speed standpoint, as offensive linemen would go to get to that second level. Boom, linebacker got you. Third level, boom, Julian Love, I got you. And then the players weave their way through that. So that's how they're built. I guess it would kind of be like with the Ravens, like with Lamar. Saying, okay, well, I just wish Lamar would drop back and be a true pocket passer more than he is, and scan the field and get it down the field. That's not how Lamar plays. That's just like from the Vikings offense standpoint, they're at their best when they're throwing the ball. Their throwing game is as good as anybody's in the NFL. And really, until teams start stopping it, I don't see why you would stop.
Let's spin it forward. At some point, the season will end. It may end with a 1-and-out. It may end with a Super Bowl loss. It may end with a Super Bowl win. I recounted earlier today the fact that the Vikings have lost 6 NFC Championship games in a row. Forget about the 4 Super Bowl losses. 1987, 1998, 2000, 2009, 2017, and 1977, if I didn't mention that. So,
Wow.
when this season ends, whenever it ends, Jason Garrett turned to me on Sunday and said of Sam Darnold, you can't let him out of the building. I think he said it
Right.
after the first touchdown drive, the touchdown pass to Jordan Addison. You can't let him out of the building. Because, we've been kicking around this idea, well, they can't pay him anything close to market value. They need to let him see what's out there or what's not out there. There aren't going to be a ton of teams looking for quarterbacks. Maybe they get lucky and he comes back and says, instead of being somebody else's placeholder again, I want to stay in Minnesota. I want to continue this. Maybe it's an open competition next year. Maybe J.J. McCarthy sits a second year or a third year even. What do you think will happen since you're a hell of a lot closer to it than we are?
I can't predict it. I mean, I can give you my opinion, but I mean, it's when you're 13-2, and here I am at the Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center radio studio, waiting for Kevin O'Connell in a few hours. It's the access here is great, but I also have learned over the years when it's proper time to ask certain questions. I just don't think it's the right time to ask the people I can trust that question. That they talk about it around here, and they have a plan. It may not be a concrete plan, but they have one. And I agree with Jason Garrett in that. I mean, seriously, Sam Darnold with the amount of touchdowns he's going to throw this year, it's going to be more than Brett Favre probably in his first year as a Viking. So yeah, you don't get something like this, raise it, reform it, and take this reclamation project and turn it into a monster and let it go. It just doesn't happen. So I certainly wouldn't predict that he would start all the games next year, but I don't see why he wouldn't. J.J. McCarthy is going to be 22 in a month, so he's still very, very young. So is Dallas Turner starting to catch fire a little bit too. But McCarthy, off that injury, him chilling for a little bit. But don't forget Daniel Jones is on the practice squad too. That people kind of snicker at that the same way that they'll turn their nose up at, oh wow, Sam
Darnold signing with the team. Exactly. Same way I did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is so foolish and disrespectful to this coaching staff when people are like, you got no shot with Jones. Really? Okay, he's smart, like Sam. He has a wonderful arm, like Sam. He moves, like Sam. And he's a reclamation project, like Sam. I watch him on the practice squad doing his thing pretty much every single practice. And the quiet going guy is like he's being turned out right now. It's like he's been taken out of a very difficult situation. We're just going to put you over here, let you chill for a little bit, let you get your personal life back, let you get your mind back, let you relax with these high-end coaches, and we'll see what happens in the offseason. So I thought that was a very low-risk, potentially high-reward move Kwesi made. But I mean, seriously, Jason Garrett put it beautifully. A quarterback playing as well as Sam's playing, you just don't give them away. You can put the franchise tag on him at like 40 and trade him off that, or you can keep him with that they have after searching for nickels and dimes for years in free agency. That's another underrated facet that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has gotten squared away. Now all of a sudden they got tens of millions of dollars to spend. So I agree with Jason. And O'Connell has said before, that he would like to have a quarterback with whom he can work year after year after year after year after year. That stuff really matters. You know that. Man, it'd be really cool if, like, with Kevin O'Connell, we had like a Mike Tomlin situation here where, like he and the group are just here for a long time. They always have a winning record, get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl, threaten every single year. That seems to be potentially what they're developing.
They're telling me I need to take a break, but I need to say a couple more things very quickly. First of all, I remember when the Vikings took a flyer on Josh Freeman. Remember Josh Freeman had a big 4,000-plus yard season, fell out of favor with Greg Schiano, got cut. The Vikings bring him in. And Rick Spielman explained to me at the time, GM at the time, you turn over every rock you can in search of a franchise quarterback. They're too few. They're too far between. You take any shot you can get at a guy who might be your year in and year out long-term quarterback. So now you've got a guy in Sam Darnold who might be. The problem is he's spent the draft capital on J.J. McCarthy. This is not going to be an easy thing to resolve. But I will say this, Paul. I was reminded of something that predates your time as the voice of the Vikings. And it's almost to the exact day, dateline. December 25, 1998. In the 1998 season, Brad Johnson began as the starter, broke a leg week 2 at St. Louis. Randall Cunningham, reclamation project, comes in, catches fire, SI cover fire that year. He's the guy that got the cover treatment after the Dallas game, even though Moss had the 3 for 153 and 3 touchdowns. It was all about Randall Cunningham. What are they going to do with Randall Cunningham? He's a free agent after the season. December 25, 1998, 5-year contract extension for Randall Cunningham. Now, he would be benched the next year for Jeff George, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes here. And at some point, they're going to have the epiphany, no pun intended, that they better do something with Sam Darnold. And I'm the guy that was saying they should trade for Matthew Stafford. I'm the guy that was saying they should trade for Matthew Stafford when the Rams were 1-4.
Mm-hmm.
So I've come around, which means 5 interceptions on Sunday against the Packers.
But of course they know that. All right. Now, but they've worked so hard the last couple of years to get this salary cap situation where it is into the offseason that it's, there will be a time again, I would imagine the Minnesota Vikings give a quarterback a 4 or 5 year long, massive deal. But to amass the assets, store the proverbial nuts off to the side for when it gets really cold and you need something to eat with Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, and Daniel Jones, that's terrific. I mean, that's not just good. That's terrific. And to have, if McCarthy has to wait a little longer because Darnold does whatever Darnold and this team are going to do in the postseason, big deal. And
price keeps going up. That's the risk.
I don't think JJ would be bugged by that either. What?
Price keeps going up. If the longer you wait for Darnold, the deeper they go, the price keeps going up. At a certain point, it's a business proposition.
Tag, Mike. You have the franchise tag.
I know.
And you also have, how about the San Francisco 49ers? I mean, what about the meat grinder they're in with this Brock Purdy deal coming up? I mean, what if there were people within their building when Darnold was there who thought Sam was better than Brock, but he just didn't get a chance? Well, now Sam might become available even if you tag and trade. There are teams out there who I think will contact the Vikings at the end of the season about Sam. That's, again, another wonderful spot Kwesi has put this team in.
You keep saying tag and trade like you know something. You've said it multiple times unprompted now.
Because if it were a heaven or hell equation right now and I had to be right, well, the 5-year, like the Kirko Chains deal, or maybe even a little more, I just can't see that happening at this stage of the reload equation. Because they've shown when you're able to bring in Grenard, Cashman, Van Ginkel, Aaron Jones, Stephon Gilmore, Jerry Tillery, and so on, what it's done for the totality of the team. And that's what the Kansas City Chiefs, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, that MV3, they're going to be, and Andy Reid, they're going to be really difficult to beat. Not every team can do it that way. Some other teams have to put the mishmash together and get it to click like they have here. But the quarterback's obviously a very big part of it. They're not fools here. I mean, they know what's in front of them right now. They know what's coming up. They know what they have on the back burner. And the Vikings control the situation on all fronts. The team controls this situation on all fronts. So I'm quite sure they'll make the right call.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.